Hello everybody, this is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
And welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. And in this episode, we're going to talk about traveling. So, traveling in the pandemic era. Is it the pandemic era now?
I think can consider as post-pandemic in a way because, borders are reopening.
Okay, so as borders are reopening and people are now allowed to travel leisurely and go on holidays, I think a lot of people don't know the massive requirements. I mean, I like to travel. I feel like, I haven't been traveling for quite some time. And I feel like, I want to get on a plane and go to a different country. But I have not done so because it feels like there's so much hassle to travel. You have to take tests. I mean, if you're in an individual, it's a hassle. But if you're bringing like a family of 6, it's better not lah.
Yep.
So this show is recorded on the 17th of February. And this news is happened this week where I think 7 Malaysians were stranded in Manila Airport. So they came in from Kuala Lumpur and they went into Manila Airport and suddenly their MySejahtera was not recognized as a legit certificate or proof of vaccination. So the question is, Malaysia, we use MySejahtera as like the ultimate proof that you've been vaccinated. Is always updated there, right? And our general understanding or assumption is, okay, if I use this, if I'm traveling to Singapore or to Europe or to anywhere, the MySejahtera certificate will be enough for me to for the country to grant me entry into my destination, right? So here's the thing. Actually, it's not all. I don't even know how many countries actually accept MySejahtera, and there are different requirements and rules and requirements of like proof of vaccination for different countries. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because something happened with the 7 Malaysians that were held in Manila Airport. And also, okay, so what we're going to do today is talk about what happened in Manila. Number 2 is talk about, maybe share some tips and recommendations if you are planning to travel to other countries. Because I think we had a discussion, Alex and I, the requirements are quite tedious. I think if you're, and you have to also budget for the additional cost. And it could cost thousands of ringgit more when you are planning to travel during this very interesting period. And then finally, what we're supposed to talk about?
Also, I mean, what you should bear in mind before planning.
What to look out for, right?
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
so what happened in Manila?
Okay, so the Philippines has recently announced that they are reopening their borders to fully vaccinated tourists. So foreigners can enter the country and you just need to take a test, come to the country, and then you don't need to go for mandatory quarantine as long as you fulfill the criteria. So that the borders are open on the 10th of February. And I think a couple of Malaysians like, woohoo, I can travel now. So they bought the ticket.
Yep.
And then knowing that, okay, I'm fully vaccinated, so I can take the test because the requirement is to test within 48 hours and I should have no issues going to the country.
So the understanding is Philippines border is now open. Just get the test done within 48 hours in Kuala Lumpur.
PCR test.
Buy the ticket and then it's done.
Yep.
So by the time you reach there shouldn't be any problem.
Yep.
That was the okay.
Yep.
And then what happened?
So
I mean, okay, I just want to clarify. If it was me and I didn't know any better, I would think that would be the way to travel lah.
Yeah, correct.
So by the time I reach Manila, for example, I would probably just need to get a test, and if I'm negative, then I'm allowed entry. So I would have to worry probably about the cost of the test. And the good part is I don't have to worry about the cost of being quarantined for like a week.
Yeah, because that's the biggest hurdle during the pandemic, that you need to waste time and maybe money to stay in a hotel for quarantine. So now quarantine is not required to enter the Philippines if you fulfill the criteria. So what happened was that, as reported in a couple of news outlets, here's an interesting part. Initially, it was reported that 13 Malaysians were stranded.
Okay.
But eventually, Wisma Putra, which is the ministry in charge of foreign affairs, clarified there's only 7 Malaysians. So it turns out that these Malaysians their vaccination status was not recognized. So that's a shocker. Like, what do you mean MySejahtera is not recognized?
Yep.
So apparently some of them told the Star that they were told by the authorities there that they only recognize, they don't recognize MySejahtera. They recommend that you should get a vaccine certificate from the WHO. Which is a thing for certain countries, WHO certificate, or you get vaccinated in other countries that they recognize, like Singapore. So there's a lot of speculation. Some on the internet, some say that why is Philippines treating Malaysians
Why
that
is
way?
like a double standard, right? Why are you being so hostile to Malaysians?
Yeah.
And then why is there like a double standard? I mean, then on the flip side, there were people also saying like, hey, my Sejahtera is so like
Iffy.
so iffy, right? So lopet, like, or even Philippines don't recognize it.
Yeah,
But here's the thing: I think the UK
Yep.
recognizes it. Singapore has no issues with my Sejahtera either.
And then some said that, oh yeah, because of the fake vaccine issues, that's why they don't trust the certificate anymore and all that, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of speculation and fake news hovering around with this story. But at the end of the day, I think the story came down to this, right? There was like a confusion somewhere.
Yeah, and eventually it was sorted by Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So if we backtrack a bit, right, actually the Embassy of the Philippines in KL, they've actually posted the entry, testing and quarantine protocols for foreign nationals arriving in the Philippines on international flights on the 9th of February. That's the day before the borders are open. So it's clearly stated that foreign nationals must be fully vaccinated, and as we all know, to be fully vaccinated, it must be at least, they will say that it must at least do 2 weeks after receiving the second dose, and you need to show proof of vaccination. So this includes World Health Organization International Certificates of Vaccination, Vaccert PH, so that's like the Philippine version of the proof of vaccination, National State Digital Certificates of Foreign Governments, which has accepted Vaccert PH under the reciprocal arrangements.
Yep.
They actually have one liner there. The Philippines and Malaysia are still in discussion on a mutual recognition agreement of Vaccert PH and the My Sejahtera Digital Certificate.
Okay, so basically, I think basically what happened was the news that the Philippine border opened, and I think people didn't check. They just buy the ticket, they just went.
They assume that everything's okay. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, for me, right? Okay, so I guess it's fair, but the thing is, if you look at this post from the Philippines embassy, it didn't get a lot of traction.
Yep.
So how would I know that this is true? I mean, how would I even know where to check? I mean, there's not like a central guideline for travel website where I can check like, okay, these are the requirements for if you're traveling to Philippines or whatever.
Yeah, and then most people say, I see my friend go Singapore, no problem. I see my friends go UK, no problem.
Yeah.
To Umrah, no problem.
Yeah.
So shouldn't be any problem lah.
Yeah, shouldn't be any problem. I mean, and then I guess I don't know, and it sucks, right? To the Philippines, it takes what, 5 hours?
3 hours from
Okay,
KL.
so
Yeah.
3 hours to the Philippines. You travel to the airport. Now it takes what, like another 3 hours to prepare at the airport for the
Whatever,
the
testing,
social
screening,
distancing.
yeah.
What, I don't know, because I haven't taken a plane for like, I haven't been on a plane for over 2 years, and then you have to wear the mask all the way there, all the way standing in line, the security checks, whatever, ever, and then you arrive, you cannot enter the country, and you're stuck. They were stranded there for how long?
I think more than a day because it happened on Sunday, and the issue was only solved. I think on the 14th. On the 15th. Yeah.
So they were stuck
at least
there,
a day. Yeah.
for a day at least.
Yeah.
So it's either they sleep at the airport, or
Yep.
they put in some money to sleep at a hotel at the airport.
Apparently, according to reports, there's no hotel at that part of the airport. There's no hotel at that part of the airport.
So they slept in the airport.
Yeah. Like that Tom Hanks. Oh, is it Tom Hanks movie?
Yeah, Tom Hanks movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? So the lesson here is that, okay, when you're traveling, no matter if you see everybody else is traveling or whatever, just check, because regulations change, right?
Yeah. It's different from country to country.
Yeah. So some countries require you to take tests within 48 hours. Some require 24 hours.
Yep.
Like what you mentioned, Singapore, right?
Yeah, so Singapore is a different case. So, okay, similar to the Philippines, so Malaysia and Singapore had this vaccinated travel lane. So, as you all know, right, because of the COVID restrictions, it's always mandatory for foreigners or international travelers to be quarantined to make sure that they're all clear, they're not going to be at risk for the community before they can mix with everyone else. So to reopen safely, so the government has announced a vaccinated travel lane. So that means that you can enter the country without going through mandatory quarantine. But because of that, they require a lot of tests. Also, vaccination status is also one thing. So like between Malaysia and Singapore, one of the requirements is that for example, Singapore entering Malaysia, they need to install My Sejahtera app a week before, submit their vaccination records so that they can get a My Sejahtera app with the certificate details.
So who needs to? So if Singaporeans entering Malaysia, they have to install My Sejahtera 1 week before.
Yeah, because it takes time for the My Sejahtera team to
process
verify
the data.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
because
whatever.
what's the point of entering Malaysia, right? In your My Sejahtera, you can't go to any shops.
Yeah.
You can't even go to the hotel. Like, sorry, no My Sejahtera, no entry.
Yeah.
So you need to do that.
You have the book, ma. Just write it in the book.
They don't do that anymore. So that's just a problem. So you need that. So you go through that. They also need to do testing like 24 hours before with RT-PCR test. Upon arrival, another RT-PCR test. And the next 5 or 6 days, you need to do like the rapid test, AG test. And that can cost quite a bit of money.
So, okay, so this is for Singaporeans coming into Malaysia lah.
And Malaysia going to Singapore is similar because it's a mutual agreement.
So for Singapore, for if I'm a Malaysian going to Singapore, I gotta take a test 24 hours before my flight.
Yeah.
No more, no less.
Yep.
If I'm like an hour more or an hour less, the test is invalid. Or
Yeah, they want to be as close as possible. But of course, this is correct at the time of recording, so things might change. Yeah, and also this is based on experience from my friends who traveled between the two countries.
So how many tests in total? First is the test flying out to Singapore.
Yep.
Arrival,
Another
more
test. And then I think you can, because PCR test takes time, if you want to be faster, you got to pay a bit extra. Yeah, and then the next few days, you need to do AG tests, I think daily for the next 5 days.
The duration that you're there.
Yeah, every day must test.
And then, okay, so I believe also the cost of the test kits in Singapore is not as... And test kits are not as accessible in Singapore. I mean, in terms of price.
It's more expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely more expensive. Yeah. I mean, like PCR, everything in Singapore is more expensive than Malaysia. So PCR tests cost more. And... because based on what I've asked from my friends who travel across the border, they probably spend more than $1,000 ringgit extra.
So you can expect to spend 1,000 ringgit at least more for your travels.
Just for testing on it.
Yeah, I think Singapore is a good benchmark. Whether you're traveling to Europe or whatever, it's still the same thing. Okay, so coming back to what happened in Manila. So what happened? So before Manila, the Philippines in the embassy document says that Malaysia are still in discussion with Philippines in terms of the reciprocal agreement to accept the certificates. So these 7 people just arrived at a very unfortunate time, because I think right after that, the issue was settled, right?
I think it's just partly because of the
Or did they speed up the issue?
They speed up the issue because I think after that Wisma Putra was involved, and then they was talking to the Philippine government. Hey, what's going on? How do we solve this? And how do we get these people released? So eventually, I guess they recognized each other's certificate, because I think the next day, which is on a Monday, the Philippines passed like a resolution that they announced that they are recognizing certificates from Malaysia as well as the Republic of Ireland. Yeah, and because of that, my signature is valid.
So congratulations to the 7 brave Malaysians that went to the Philippines without checking everything. Because of you, now all
approved.
Malaysians can go to Philippines using My Sejahtera. That's always the Malaysian way to do things, right? Always do it first.
Just do first, worry about later.
Settle later.
Settle later.
Kita discuss nanti lah. Boleh bincang. Selalu boleh bincang mah.
So that serves as a reminder, right? So always be careful. And also, here's a surprising thing. I will assume that the airlines at the airport will check before, but I guess they're also overwhelmed. They're also not aware of such requirements.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the process of traveling, right? Before COVID was, you find a date and then you wait for the best time to buy a ticket or the most cheapest time to buy a ticket. I think that habit has not changed. So once the borders are open, you try to get the ticket as quickly as possible, because the longer you wait, the more expensive it is, and then you figure out what to do later. So a lot of these people probably would have already bought the ticket before even understanding what the requirements are. Then the question is, like you mentioned, right? Why are airlines not putting links and stuff like that before purchasing the tickets? I mean, I guess it's their prerogative. They can if they wanted to, but the problem is, because of the regulations changing frequently, and because of the number of countries that they travel to. So some airlines might travel to 30, 50, 100 countries, or have connections to multiple countries, and have connections that have transit, that don't have transit, that let you leave the plane, that don't let you leave the plane, require you to change a plane, whatever, right? There's so many permutations that it's so difficult for, like, say, one airline to, let's say if you're traveling from Malaysia, okay, you're traveling using Malaysia Airlines, for Malaysia Airlines to just put the requirements there, and by the time you arrive, it could be wrong.
Yeah, that's why I think to be safe, most airlines, when you book ticket, they say, I agree that I'm fully vaccinated. I agree that I'm aware of the regulations that's required on the other side. So it's ultimately is the responsibility of the passenger.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nobody to blame lah. But I guess kudos to Wisma Putra and the Malaysian government for sorting this out as quickly as possible. I'm wondering whether these 7 people are VIPs or what.
Not sure. Yeah, but be denied entry at the border, that sucks, man. Imagine you're traveling with your family. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is a friggin' hassle, man. Because the first thing you want to do after you arrive on from a long flight is just to get out of the airport and breathe some fresh air.
Go to the hotel and shower.
Yeah, and I can imagine like you're stuck at the airport there and you are sleeping at the airport, right? And you have to wear your mask all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a hassle. I guess, is there anything else you want to add with regards to this Manila, Philippines incident?
Well, I guess it's to be honest, right? I think a lot of things can be improved. Besides us as a passenger or traveler, right? I think probably more awareness from the foreign affairs government. I mean, because to be honest, right, when people want to search for information, right, it's all over the place. Even like COVID SOPs, like which is the latest. When you search online, you could probably get news that's dated months ago, which are not valid anymore.
True.
So there's no like a proper place to check.
Yeah, I mean, it is a problem, but I guess okay. So for me, from what I've learned from this, right? So one of the tips I would share, and I think I would do, is to check with the embassy. Wherever that you're going is just to check with the embassy.
Yeah, that's the best place.
Yeah, and then after that, get them to send you an email so that it's in
black and white.
In black and white, and then use that as proof that you've already checked at the time of travel. Because it could be like you bought a ticket 2 weeks ago, and you're traveling like next week, and by the time you're traveling, the regulations has changed. If the regulations are more relaxed, then good for you. But if it suddenly becomes tighter, then it's even more of a hassle.
Yeah, because things might change according to the situation. Like for example, when VTL was first launched, I think everyone was happy that finally can travel, and suddenly because of Omicron, they put a stop to that. It's a pause.
So there's no more. Is it called vaccine travel lane?
Vaccinated travel lane. So they stopped the sale of it. But luckily, the flights still go on. So if you book a ticket, you're not affected. You still can fly.
Yeah,
but the drastic situation would be like the Umrah travel, right? So immediately the government said, okay, no more flights from this date onwards. So those who book the flights, they're stuck.
They're screwed.
Yeah. So things like this can happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned about VTL, and then you mentioned also like, okay, if you're going into Singapore and you want to, so there's two types of travels to Singapore, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
One is if you don't take the VTL tickets, you can enter Singapore, but you need to go through quarantine, which is like what, 5 days, 3 days?
I think 5 days. I can't remember what's the latest regulation.
But it's just staying in a hotel room, not doing anything. Oh my god, it's just a hassle for travel to just go to Singapore. Can you imagine that?
It's like so near, right? And you need to spend so much time.
Yeah, it's like a travel that you can probably do as a day trip. No, previously before the COVID pandemic, right? You can do it as a day trip. Would now take you 3 days, or at least like a day. So, okay, back to my tip, right? So, if you're going to Singapore, you can buy a normal ticket or a VTL ticket. Are the prices the same?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked last time. Last time I remember I checked was before they announced it.
Yeah.
So it depends on the time of day and all that.
I don't even know how much ticket prices are nowadays, man. I don't know. So, okay, back to my point. You either buy a non-VTL ticket or a VTL ticket. So, if you want to travel without the quarantine period, you want to travel quarantine-free, make sure you buy the VTL ticket. How is it indicated? It says there, or is there like a label or what?
When you search for it, it will state it clearly. So same for the bus as well. So you must make sure you buy the VTL tickets. But the good news is that hopefully that we can travel using a private car. So that's in discussion right now.
Yeah, but no, man, I don't want to get stuck in a car at the causeway with the traffic, and then the traffic is going to be longer because
the
you
testing.
have to take a test over there, and then all the spitting, all the no need lah. There's nothing in Singapore anyway. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, if you're a Singaporean, drop a comment as well.
Okay. So yeah. Have we shared all the tips? I think that's pretty much it, right? I guess try to be as comfortable as possible. If you're taking a long haul flight, don't dress like you're going for a fancy dinner, lah. I think a lot of people, when I go to airport, right, I know how to see the newbies from the pros. The newbies, right, when they come to the airport, who are all flash with
fashion
the
show
blazer lah, with the nice shoes lah, with the pro, right? Then because the fella's going to Europe, so he needs to wear all the European clothes lah, all the coat and the whatever, right? Yeah, wasting time lah. The pros, they will go anywhere, whether it's the US or whether it's Singapore, they will wear shorts and slippers.
Like looks like they're going to sleep because you're going to sleep anyway.
Yeah, wear slippers
comfortable.
because when you go up there in the sky, your feet's gonna get swollen. When you wear socks and shoes, it's just gonna get messy. Then you gotta take off your socks or what lah. You gotta replace your slippers lah. Some people always want to look nice and smart, so they will pack in their carry-on slippers. What. Don't bother. For me, even if it's like 12-hour flight, 16-hour flight, I'm just gonna wear my shorts and slippers, and then I'm just gonna go to sleep as comfortable as possible. So do that.
Yep.
I guess when you're traveling now, pack extra masks because things at the airport are 10 times more expensive than outside.
Also stock up on your rapid self-test kits as well.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can get Malaysia, get as much as possible. If there's requirements on specific tests, you need to check with the country as well whether they recognize the test kits.
So I was about to ask you, right? So does countries have like different standards? It's like, okay, our Malaysian one is not accepted in Singapore, and you know. But here's the thing: all these testings, right, is money making issue also.
Especially the PCR test is so freaking expensive. Like in Singapore, right? From what I understand from my friend, it costs like $100 for PCR test. So just like 300 ringgit. In Malaysia, it's about 180 to 200 plus ringgit.
In Malaysia, is how much?
180 to 200 something ringgit. And you want faster, you need to pay more.
Extra to get the result in 24 hours, right?
No,
or in 3 hours.
In less than that.
Hours.
In less than that, yeah.
Also, the result comes in 24 hours.
Typically, it's 24 hours. Like $200 is like you test like today.
So to get on the express lane, pay more.
Yeah, it's why you can bump out the queue or something. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It costs a lot of money, PCR test. So luckily for the VTL, you just need to do once per entry and exit. Because once you the subsequent days, you just use the AG test, which is still cheaper. But in Singapore, because I think for the self-test, the AG test, the antigen test, the last I rechecked was that you need to do alternate. So one day is on the lab, and the next day you could do yourself. You just upload the results. Yeah.
And before you like plan your next holiday, right? One final tip I want to share is really think about whether you want to go or not, because whether it's worth it or not. Because here's the thing. These Malaysians, they were stranded at the airport and they were denied entry into Manila because of confusion with the My Sejahtera certificate. Here's another scenario that can happen. You are granted entry to the country. You go have your holiday, see your friends, blah, 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 go on your ski trip and whatever, right? On the way back, before you board the plane, you need to do your test. In some countries, you need to do the test every day, right? And submit. Now, imagine while you were at the country, you are positive. You are stuck there.
Yeah, you get positive. That's the worst case scenario. You're going to be stuck there.
You are stuck there.
So, another tip is get travel insurance as well.
Yes. Travel insurance got covered COVID now.
I'm not too sure.
We haven't checked. I guess maybe you can check and put it in the description.
Yep.
But yeah, get travel insurance. Always good because that covers a lot of things. But if you're stuck there, get ready to plus at least 5 days into your travel itinerary.
Depends on the country's protocols. Like Malaysia, if you're fully vaccinated, if there's no symptoms, it's 7 days quarantine. It could be long. At least 7 days.
So Malaysia's regulation is probably the most relaxed one, and that is 7 days you are quarantined.
Yep.
So make sure you are ready to plus 7 and the additional expenses for the quarantine. So it's plus 7 accommodation, plus 7 meals, food, whatever. Plus that, times that with the number of people that you have traveling with you. So if you have if me, my family is 6, right? I'm screwed, man.
I think family should be able to stay together.
Yeah, but the food.
Yeah, that's right.
And whatever, oh man. So now I remember why I haven't started traveling yet. I know some people have. I think it's nice. Kudos to you guys that's been able to do that. But I don't know. Would you start traveling? I think the risk is still high. I mean, if people are... I'm not worried so much about getting the COVID. It's just the hassle that I really hate.
Because of new Omicron wave, I think the infectivity is high. I think it's a matter of time one of us we're going to get it. I think... No. I mean, the thing is, for me, I think the severity is not as bad as before.
Yeah.
I think right now, if you look at the cases, 99% are mild or no symptoms.
Yeah.
I think there's no issue. Like you said, right? The problem is the hassle of being quarantined or close contact.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
So you got to anticipate that.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, is it right time to travel? Probably not. Maybe we'll wait and see until it's more stabilized.
I don't know, man. Yeah, and it's still sucky, right? Even if you land in Europe, like UK, Barcelona, whatever, you still have to wear your mask everywhere. You have to. I don't know how it's like in the UK or whatever. Whether you still have to scan and whether you have to install like an app there.
I think most of the Western countries, they're more lax now. I think more people are not wearing masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all those recommended. It's not as stringent as Malaysia, I would say.
Yeah.
I think Asian countries is more stringent in terms of the SOPs. So that's why even December, right, the health minister said that, okay, if you need to travel, if you already book your ticket already, please follow the SOPs, because he knows that a lot of people out there, they don't really follow. Because in a way, it's kind of weird, right? Let's say if you're the only Asian guy wearing a mask in a sea of people, like, what's going on? Why is he wearing a mask?
Why is this Asian fella doing this? Right?
Yeah, then
he must be the cause of the COVID thing. I mean, you know,
yeah, it feels weird, right? You feel naked being the only one wearing a mask in that way.
You feel weird lah, not naked lah.
Yeah, it's like you're the only one that's doing. I mean, reverse lah.
Reverse naked. You feel clothed.
Yeah, that's right.
Why is being clothed weird? I don't know. I guess when everybody's naked, it's weird that you have clothes on.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a discussion for another episode. Let's talk about. But before I forget, I think there's another thing, right? So for those who are coming back from where I'm traveling, they need to apply for home quarantine. So
yes.
So previously there are two options. No, there's no option. Previously, when travel restrictions were stricter, when you come back to Malaysia, you have to stay at the dedicated quarantine centers
or hotels,
like hotels and whatever. And the food's terrible. Everybody's complaining about that. And then after that, the restrictions have been relaxed a bit, and you can apply for home quarantine.
Yes, if you're
something. So okay, in Malaysia, quarantine after travel is still required, right?
If you're not coming through the VTL lane, you must go through mandatory quarantine.
Yep.
If you're coming from any other countries.
Okay, so is that automatic, or is that something I have to buy or check or request or whatever?
For home quarantine, now is an option for those who are fully vaccinated, but you must apply in advance. So there's actually a website on Ministry of Health. It's if you Google it, you just search for home quarantine MOH Malaysia, and there's actually a place for you to apply. So it's best to apply at least a week. Yep.
So
so 10 days.
Yeah, that's even more than a week. Yep. So let's say I'm traveling for 2 days. I have to apply for my home quarantine
before you fly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, hassle, man. No need lah. I stay in Malaysia. Fine. No problems. So you got to apply. So there's a website. What's the website called?
HSO.
Okay, we'll put them in.
MOH.gov.my. Yeah. This is for home quarantine MOH, and you can get it there.
So is it like a guaranteed approval? Okay, what are the requirements? I got to be fully vaccinated. I got to apply 10 days before.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, you need to apply 10 days before, and then you just need to fill up a form and then submit the required documents.
If I fail to do that, I will come back to Malaysia and I will be required to stay in a hotel somewhere.
Yeah, correct.
In a quarantine center.
And at your own cost, probably. Yeah, so if you don't want to spend so much money, don't travel.
Okay, so here's the ultimate tip. Like Alex said, don't want to spend so much money and time, don't travel. You got a +7 at least, just in case anything happens. And then you got to also consider the leave that you have to apply when you're traveling. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't want to even think about calculating how much time, cost, and hassle is going to take me to leave the country and come back. So no travel for me for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of this year, things might improve.
It's only February. I hope they improve like by June. I don't know, man. Please.
Yeah.
Tired of this.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty much it. And that's the time for me to remind you that we are available on podcast as well. So if you want to listen to us in your car, in your bathroom, while before you go to sleep, please do. Just look for us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We are Let's Talk About Sorry Chin Chow, and you'll be able to find us. If you're listening to us on podcast, please do give us a 5-star rating, because that helps the show a lot. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching. Do give us a thumbs up if you like the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And please, your comments, suggestions, and feedback for today's topic, or for any ideas you'd like for us to cover in Let's Talk About, just let us know. We love reading your comments. Seriously, we do. And that's pretty much it. This is me, Amin.
And this is Alex.
Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you guys later.
Bye.